Okay, so do you count that as a success today?
I think we've got a very positive result out of the cabinet. I think they're all minded to see where this goes and to treat it with a positive frame of mind, providing we come up with the right answers. And they made some good points, I think, about the content of the building should include a range of community activities. It's not just a library. It's well-being, learning, knowledge, the art gallery, of course, and the museum. So there's a great opportunity to make it a real heart and a hub for the whole of Herefordshire and the city.
And of course I saw your plans at the presentation when Jessie Norman chaired the meeting.
Yes.
5 floors does sound really ambitious, doesn't it?
Well,
but it's lovely.
It's a building which has been its own disaster in the long term because they're very difficult spaces to use. It's a bit like this space we're in now. It's a great big Shire Hall building which is obviously only useful for certain types of occasion. We have a huge opportunity here at the moment. There's 15,000 square feet, which sounds a lot, but it's 1,500 square metres. So that's what the space is at the moment, and it's quite limited in how you can use it because it's really 3 major spaces. It's the art gallery, it's the museum, and it's the library, and they're all in separate boxes. They don't interrelate, and the spaces themselves are extremely inflexible. So there's a fantastic opportunity to have a look at another way of organising the building so that it can have much more flexibility and use contain many different types of use, including, of course, well-being. And other community uses, and maybe even council services in the end, so that they all interlock. And also to double the space. You could have 30,000 square feet of accommodation right in the middle of the town centre, and you don't get that very often in Hereford because it's all broken up into little bits. So if we can get 30,000 square feet of something and focus it very much onto what is required rather than just make it a useless flexible space which doesn't do anything for anybody, it must be really carefully thought out. So we've got to work out a model for the way in which the building is going to be used and the way in which the building that we're going to create will support that use. If we can do that in the middle of the old city centre, it'll rebalance the whole city, get fantastic footfall between the retail, the new retail market site, right through, up through Whitewash Street, through Hightown, up Broad Street to the cathedral. So it could be a very rich change for the city as a whole. It'll improve the economy of the city centre. And it will provide a heart for the whole of the Herefordshire community, reaching out to the market towns and to the other centres for other museum centres, art gallery initiatives, and of course the libraries throughout the whole of the county.
And of course keeping the outer shell as you're planning to do, that stays really beautifully in with the heritage of the city as well.
It's a good way of working with an existing building. It's got a fantastically beautiful frontage. All of that whole part of that building is a beautiful high Victorian architecture. So that's terribly important that that's saved and rethought and turned into something new. And by keeping the perimeter walls of all of the buildings, saving a lot on costs, we don't have to get involved too much with working with the adjacent buildings, which is very expensive. And by reorganising the levels of the building, we can get the Woolhope Room directly accessible to all the other areas, and we can avoid doing too much excavation into the basement, because down there there's a lot of well-known remains from the Saxon times, and we can't afford to get involved in multi-million-pound archaeology. I mean, we'd love to, but that's not the main thrust. We want to get this building open again and working for the community. So if we work very carefully with the existing fabric, we can make substantial savings in cost.
So finally, if you want to get as many people on board, you need a sort of a strap line to attract people and say, come and support us.
We do indeed. We've got to think of a strap line. So if anyone's out there and they can think of a name for the building, then that would be excellent. At the moment, it's just simply going to go forward as the Broad Street Action Group, but it's to do with hearts of communities, isn't it? And I thought there's some fantastic action actually happening in Holland at the moment. some really good initiatives to do with libraries and rethinking communities. And there's an organisation called the Ministry of the Imagination, and they've been thinking up strap lines. And one for libraries is growing your brain. How about that? So come to Broad Street and grow your brain.
That's a great one. Thank you.
Oh,